What's up, guys? Welcome back to Newswave. So we're coming up on the end of the year now, which means end of the year awards for games, whether it's Game of the Year or Best Xbox Game or Best Switch Game or Indie Game. And I've actually been participating for this past week in Victor Lucas's Electric Playground Awards that he's doing right now. And if you go over and check it out, I'm in a few of those videos talking about my favorite games of the year. And go check it out because the channel's really cool and his production value is very high. And of course, you can go by, hit their like button and say, hey, Spawnwave sent me over here. I'll actually leave the link down below to one of the videos you can go check out. And then check out Electric Playground because it's a pretty cool channel there. Today, we're going to talk about a couple things, including Smash Bros. Record-breaking sales. I mean, we were talking about it, kind of trying to figure it out for a while. How many did they sell? How many Switches sold? We got the numbers from Media Crates, and it is massive. It is something else. We're gonna talk about that. Like we saw Mario Odyssey last year, and even Zelda and stuff in Japan. No, Smash Bros. Yes, it's something else. We're gonna go over all of that, and then Capcom keeps messing up. And apparently the eShop may be getting a rebrand, so a lot of stuff to go over. First, we're going to start with some quick news, but as always, guys, if you enjoy these videos, do hit the like button. It does help out. We're going to start with FDG because on Twitter they announced that one of my favorite games of the year, certainly one of my favorite 2D platforms, although it came up at the end of the year after a lot of awards were already being given out and things were nominated, I guess it almost falls into 2019 for things like the Game Awards, and that is Monster Boy. I really like this game. I'm right at the end. I'm about to finish the game, but I've really enjoyed it, and I've gone back and started to get more stuff because it's kind of an open-world Metroidvania style. But FDG actually announced that they have now sold 50,000 copies in the first week of sales, with apparently the Switch being the best-selling system for that game, but I mean, it pretty much runs the same across the board on all systems, so I could see why the Switch would have sold more, obviously, because it's portable and then it's a hybrid, so home console portable. And it works really well with if you get like one of the D-pads for even the Pro Controller, but like the SNES 30 from 8-Bit Do, works really well there. But very happy to see a game like this that had a lot of attention to detail, and it's just a flat-out fun game, do so well. Even though it's at a price point that a lot of people see as too high at $40, I think it's worth it, and I'm glad that it's selling. And we did have an update on the NES games app that's out there on the Switch, where, of course, new NES games get added constantly. And they also have those special edition versions that keep getting added as well. We already talked about the games that are showing up here, which included Ninja Gaiden, and it looks like we're also getting a couple of special editions. And Nintendo doesn't really tell us about these. They just kind of show up as, I guess, surprises because they keep tinkering with old games and giving us a new look at it. So while you can play some of the newer ones, you can check out some games that have already been on there, just kind of with a new look, a different take on the game in some way. I mean, technically, you look at it, it's kind of like it's basically a ROM hack or a save state that they've kind of injected into the game. But the two that you can actually look forward to is Metroid, which is really cool, by the way, that they did a Metroid Special Edition. I'll talk about that in a minute. And then Dr. Mario. Now, what do these do? Well, Dr. Mario actually speeds up to level 20, so everything's dropping really, really fast. And then when you actually beat it, there's a cool little cutscene kind of to check out. It's kind of neat to see that. But the Metroid one is the one that I was really interested in. While Dr. Mario, of course, is popular, Metroid is one that I actually played a bit, and I wanted to see what they would do here. Well, they take you, and they put you right before the big fight with Ridley, and they give you everything. You get every upgrade available that you would normally have to find when kind of running through, again, the Metroidvania style, game. But yeah, they throw everything at you, and you can just go fight Ridley right then and there. Really, really cool to kind of max out and give you that fight right away. And again, these aren't the first special editions. We had them with Zelda and Gradius. So now we have two more. And it's kind of neat to see these. I like that they just pop up, by the way. They don't announce them at all. They just say, oh, special edition, here you go. Kind of a neat little feature there. But again, hopefully going into next year, we get more, especially with things like Super Nintendo games maybe, but we'll see. Oh, and something to keep an eye on for Resident Evil Remake 2 specifically. While it's not confirmed, the ESRB put their rating out, and it does point out in-game purchases. Now, normally we think of in-game purchases and we think of microtransactions like crazy, right? That's what we think of when we see that. However, they have told us that they're going to be selling things like costumes that would come with, I guess, with the digital deluxe version. You could buy them separately. We're hoping that's all it is and they don't get crazy. Capcom, anyway, doesn't get too crazy. But we're going to talk about Capcom a little later on, and they are getting crazy, so I can't put it past them. But I'm hoping that this listing isn't something that could potentially damage and ruin the game through, what do you see Devil May Cry, for example? They're going to be selling orbs. They did it with the 4 special edition, but now it's rolling over to 5. We see this listing for Resident Evil Remake 2, and we hear about what they're doing with Street Fighter, and I'm optimistic about this game because it looks great, and I would really hate for this to be damaged or ruined by just dumb microtransactions. But we'll keep an eye on it, and I'll, of course, keep you guys up to date on it. And with all the quick news out of the way, we're going to get into the bigger stuff, and we're going to start right away with the sales in Japan for Smash Bros, as they were massive. These are Media Create sales, which, of course, cover all physical sales in Japan. They go across the retail counter. It gets counted here, not necessarily ones that are shipped or, of course, downloaded. So let's start with the top 10 right here. There's Smash Bros massively at the top, as I said. 1.2 million, so 1,220,535. That is obscene. That's almost double, I guess. Yeah, that's about double what Pokemon did if you added Eevee and Pikachu together in its first week. The Smash is huge. That passes Pokemon instantly, by the way, as that's right below it. 93,787 more Pokemon copies came off the shelves there, and that's just over 1 million. So yeah, that's how massive Smash sold. It not only beat Pokemon in 3 days, it cleared it by over 200,000 copies. Yeah, Smash is something else. And you're going to notice a little trend here going all the way down the first 6. They're all Switch games, which makes sense when we move over to the hardware numbers, which we'll do a little later. Down fair at number 3, Super Mario Party, 69,861. Mario Kart 8 Deluxe at number 4. Splatoon 2 at 5. Minecraft at 6. Then we see the debut week for Just Cause 4 in at number 7, 16,100. Battlefield 5 at number 8. Super Mario Odyssey at 9. And then The Legend of Zelda at number 10. Moving over to hardware, Nintendo Switch at the top, 281,222 units. That's a massive jump, by the way, from last week at 120,546 units. Big ups from last year at 164,000 in that same week. Year to date, it has passed last year's year to date. And then lifetime, over 6 million now. It is closing in on only being 1 million units behind the PS4's life-to-date total. So that is pretty large, obviously, as it's not going to be too much longer, especially with the Switch having Pokemon and Smash going into the holidays. We have another couple weeks, obviously, of holidays, then usually a week or two after the holidays, pretty busy as well. And you're probably going to see the Switch track down that PlayStation 4 rather quickly. Although, to be fair, the PS4, 74,496 units. That is a big jump up from last week. This is around when the holiday time is really starting to take effect. So you're going to see that. You're going to see the PS4 also sell well, and that does translate over to the 3DS and the Vita. The 3DS up 14,272. That is up about almost 4,000 units up. The Vita also had a nice little jump there of about 700 units, 2,484. And the Xbox One was really the only system that dropped, although a lot of people were spending money on things like the Switch and the PlayStation 4, so I guess one of the systems couldn't really do well. And this is the massive impact that Smash is having in Japan, as we kind of expected. Now, I don't know if people expected this kind of a number, having well over 1 million units, and this is just the first week. The second week will, of course, have a drop-off. That's normal. You'd see a drop-off of some kind, whether it's 30, 40, even 50%. But at that point, you're going to see it come up on 2 million units in Japan very, very quickly. It'll easily be past that by Christmas time, after Christmas time. And then, of course, the Switch will continue to sell in the hundreds of thousands for the rest of the year, up until January. And then, of course, new Super Mario Bros. Comes out, which is a Wii U title, so it'll still sell well. I don't think it'll have the same impact that a new 2D Mario game would have, like a brand new one, or just the new Mario game in general. But still, it'll have an impact. And then, of course, we need to see what Nintendo has for quarter 4, which is the first quarter, technically, of 2019, January to the end of March. And we'll see what they have there, but massive numbers here for Smash. And we'll see where Smash goes, because this is just Japan, guys. 1.2 million units is just in one region, Japan. We don't know completely, I guess, the exact numbers from Europe and, of course, the United States and other places as well. It could be a massive number if this is just Japan. Nintendo would have to tell us that, which, if they don't tell us this in a press release, which I'm surprised one has not been released yet, they'll have to tell us at the end of January when they do updated numbers. But we'll see what they give us. Nonetheless, don't be surprised if they tell us it's, honestly, if it's 1.2 million in Japan, 2 million, this could be a 4 to 5 million easy already. And then who knows where it goes from here. So we'll see what happens, but big things there for Smash and the Switch in Japan. Next up, let's talk about Capcom and Street Fighter V. Street Fighter V has been an interesting game to follow, where they said there was going to be an arcade edition, and there is. Then there's multiple seasons of new characters, tons of downloadable content, a lot of downloadable content. Let's be real about that. But Capcom has continued to find ways to try to monetize the game further, mostly because I don't think it's sold as well as they wanted it to. Sony kept it exclusive on their system, but of course they probably funded parts of it. Who knows about all those back-end deals? But they did things like add in loot boxes at one point after the game had already sold, well after the game had already sold. Now they're trying something else, and I want to point out the idea is worse than what they're actually doing currently, and we're going to go over that. But what's happening in Street Fighter V? Well, it looks like they're going to see how sponsored ads are received in the game. And they released an entire blog post detailing this, as you're seeing here. And it reads, sponsored content will be introduced into Street Fighter V Arcade Edition on December 11th, which was 2 days ago. Sponsored content will be displayed in several locations in-game to remind you about costumes, bundles, and the Capcom Pro Tour. When sponsored content is enabled, players can obtain additional fight money in ranked and casual matches. These bonuses come with an upper limit. Here are the places where you will see sponsored content. Costumes, ad style, loading ads, stage ads. Basically, it's product placement for what appears to be, at least at this time, stuff that's actually relevant to the game. You know, the Capcom Cup and in-game purchasing, and basically ways to show you more stuff you can do to give them money. But the idea here is essentially having mini banner ads and commercials built into a game that you paid full price money for. Well, it depends. I mean, they've had it on sale several times, but still, the idea here is this was a bigger, fighting game. It has Street Fighter on it, and they're doing things like loot boxes and in-game ads. And the issue we have here is, if this goes over well, what do they try next? I mean, we've seen it before, right? Where we've seen in-game purchases balloon completely. We've seen Day 1 DLC become almost a regular thing at this point. We saw, Soul Calibur have a character, a DLC character in the beta, and then they sold it to people after it came out, because if you got used to them, I guess you'd want them, so you'd buy it. We've seen a lot of things get pushed, and then they continue to push and push and push. So the question here, and I'll leave that to you guys, is if this works, would Capcom or other developers and other publishers who see this work, will they try it? Because it might not be long until a $60 game that you buy, you have to watch a commercial when you're waiting for the loading screen. And who knows how long that loading screen actually has to be. Does it have to be the complete 20 seconds that commercial is set up for? Is that convenient? You see kind of what I'm getting at here, right? It could get to a point where we already have product placement, things like FIFA, where there are banner ads and stuff coming up. But a lot of people write that off because that's actually what happens in the stadiums. But when you get to a loading screen and there is an actual commercial playing for an energy drink, or I don't know, candy or something, where do you draw the line there? Because at that point, you're paying to watch commercials. So let me know what you guys think. And then our last bit of news, let's talk about Nintendo possibly rebranding the eShop. Now, the way we found out about this is kind of weird, but it technically is in writing in legal documents. See, a person in Orange County, California, was trying to sell systems that had pirated copies of Nintendo's games on there. So you had like an NES Classic, a thing like an NES Classic, a knockoff that had 800, plus games on there. Same for like a Super Nintendo Classic. Basically, they're selling systems that had tons of games on there. Nintendo saw it, they didn't like it. They said, it violates the Digital Millennium Copyright Act, and they weren't happy with it, which, okay, yeah, we saw them sue an entire ROM site for millions of dollars. So they probably won't be happy about this either. We saw Sony do something similar on eBay, where they actually bought the system from the person and then sued them. But let's take a look at the legal filings you're seeing here. Nintendo Switch Online Shop, formerly Nintendo eShop, or in physical copies on cartridges specifically manufactured for use with the Nintendo Switch console. So yes, that is in the legal documents that they've provided, and you can read them. I have a source down below. You can check out all legal documents if you want. And they're mentioning here that it is going to be renamed to the Nintendo Switch Online Shop, and it's not going to be named Nintendo eShop, as that's formerly known as that. So is that better? Nintendo Switch Online Shop. I feel like that's longer and more work to say than just eShop, but there's also a possibility that they could revamp the store. There's also a possibility that they're just rebranding to get away from the stigma of the Wii U, because some people might think of the eShop and think of Wii U. I understand Nintendo wants to distance themselves as much as they can from that system. They don't want to give you a reason to go back and play it. I mean, they're bringing all the Wii U games over to the Switch at this point. We just talked about New Super Mario Bros. Deluxe coming out, or they didn't call it, left the U in there, coming out in January. Who knows what other remasters they have in mind? Mario Maker could come over even. So why keep calling it the eShop if you're trying to start, this whole new thing with the Switch? Maybe you really do leave the eShop name at the door when you're, trying to build this thing up. So interesting nonetheless. I would like to see a revamp of the eShop though. Definitely, if they're going to rename it, change it up, make discovery easier. Make it easier to bury those cell phone shovelware games. I just looked at basketball and that's highway robbery for $10. So I hope they do revamp it. Otherwise, though, I understand why they'd want to rebrand it to kind of distance themselves from their past life with the Wii U. Ladies and gentlemen, that's going to do it here for Newswave. If you enjoyed this video, guys, hit the like button. It does help out. If not, hit the dislike. Leave comments down below about everything we talked about today. Whether it is Capcom putting ads into their games, let me know what you think about having to watch a commercial in a game that you may spend $60 on. And then that loading screen might be a couple seconds longer just to fit that commercial in. Also, let me know what you think about Smash Bros. Sales in Japan. Pretty large. Do you think that momentum sticks with them throughout going into January, where they may have more releases and more announcements in a possible direct? Thanks, guys, for watching, and I'll see you next time.